made it their mission to be the arbiters of information. And that is where the problem lies. So what do? How do we solve that problem? It's actually pretty easy. You be the arbiter of your own information. Don't get your information from the liars in mass media. Go to source documents. Get the words directly from the people involved in any news when you can. So, grab yourself a weekly whiskey, have a seat in your own top secret podcast lair, discern the truth for yourself. In other words, don't let them define your implicit bias. Let your implicit bias be formed by facts, not opinions. Let your implicit bias always be questioning everything. For the next 2 hours when we come back.
Have an honest injury? Call an honest attorney. I'm Chris Castro of Castro Law Firm, and I handle a broad array of injury cases involving car, truck, motorcycle, and premises liability. I pride myself on personal service with a pragmatic approach. A legitimate attorney for a legitimate need. Castro Law Firm in Lafayette, Louisiana has been helping the hurting throughout the state of Louisiana since 1992. Call me at 337-984-7677 or visit my website, castro-firm.com. LSBA filing number 2416932.
Experience Acadiana's most exclusive steakhouse, Mr. Lester's at Cypress Bayou. Make your reservation today. Space is limited. Take Highway 90 to the Baldwin exit.
Renee Girard, Acadiana certified master tobacconist, owns Piper's Haven at 3916 West Congress, right between Adrian's and Gilbo Road. How many cigars are in that humidor?
A lot.
100?
Oh, more than that.
Way more than that?
Way more than that.
It don't matter?
Thousands of cigars.
Thousands?
Thousands.
Thousands of cigars in the humidor of Piper's Haven. So you've got all these cigars. You've got pipes and pipe tobacco stuff.
I got pipes, pipe tobacco, cigars, cigar lighters, cigar cutters, pipe lighters, pipe stands, Lamborghini lamps, the scents. I got everything you need.
Really what you need is a great cigar, great conversation at Piper's Haven.
Yeah,
right?
And we need some cool weather because it's too hot to sit on a porch right now.
I agree, but that's okay because you got a smoking room.
Yes, we do. It's an air-conditioned smoking room with a big screen TV.
So if you need a haven from home, you've got Piper's Haven, 3916 West Congress Street, between Adrian's and Gilbo Road. Renee will help you pick out a great cigar.
The Rustic Renegade has thousands and thousands of unique men's gifts. Here's Caleb Moores.
So one of our biggest selling knives is out the front knives. An out the front knife is an automatic knife that just pops out the front. Most people think of them as a switchblade, and they don't realize the many uses that it has. It gives you a great one-handed operation use for a knife.
Why don't you come in and have a cup of coffee with us? The Rustic Renegade and therusticrenegade.com.
William S. Nicol Jewelry has been serving the Acadiana area for over 40 years now. Loose diamonds, engagement rings, wedding sets, the most extensive in-store selection Acadiana has to offer. Waterford Crystal, Swarovski Crystal, and a complete Pandora jewelry shop right on the showroom floor. In-house jewelry repairs, and a friendly, knowledgeable staff to assist you. When you want bigger, better diamonds for less, when you want quality merchandise at affordable prices, shop local. Shop William S. Nicol Jewelry, 3802 Johnson Street, Lafayette.
Hour one of Implicit Bias is brought to you by Piper's Haven, 3916 West Congress in Lafayette, Louisiana, featuring Louisiana's only certified master tobacconist, Renee Girard. Go there. He's got 553 square feet of walk-in humidor. The certified wizard of tobacco has everything you need. Cigars, pipes, pipe tobacco, cutters, lighters. It's all at Piper's Haven, 3916 West Congress. Implicit Bias rolling on, and yes, it is a party here in the Mr. Lester's TSPL North. That's the top secret podcast layer north for the uninitiated. I am your host, Cavan Bordelon, and we are underway in solving the problems of the world. One, sometimes two, well, let's be honest, sometimes 6 or 7 weekly whiskeys at a time. Let me introduce you to the crew who's here in the top secret podcast layer. First, let's start to my right. He is... well, no longer, because summer's pretty much over. He's no longer the Tan the Myth, the Legend. He is Caleb Morse, the Rustic Renegade himself. What do you think of the new digs, Caleb?
I'm digging them.
That was bad. That was just bad.
I'm enjoying them thoroughly.
Okay, there we go. That's a little better. You more comfortable in that chair?
Man, I could take a nap.
I don't know. They're not huge chairs.
No,
but they're
but
big
like
enough.
I feel swaddled. Does that make sense? Like I feel just cozy.
You do look like a baby burrito.
Yeah,
So
like-
okay.
And the leather it's so nice on my skin, and it's almost the same color as my skin.
No, it's not. You look.
I can squint really hard.
I give you
and-
compliments here and there, but we're gonna call the truth. Not we're gonna tell the story,
Yeah.
not a story. That's a story. You are not that tan. All right, let's go to the bar here in the TSPL. And by the bar, I literally mean the bar. If you want to see it, you can actually go to our Facebook, our Instagram, our X page. You can find us on all of those platforms. Let's start with the real deal, who is here with us, maybe for the last time in a little while. Kathleen, it's good to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm glad to come spend my last couple of weeks here.
So for those who don't know, do you want to maybe explain why it's your last couple of weeks? It's not like you're being sent to prison. It's not like you have a sentencing date.
No, definitely not that. I am about 3 weeks from having my baby.
Congratulations. We are so thrilled for you and Brett and are wishing the best for you. 3, actually 4, because I know you've got Rowan at home moving forward.
Thank you.
Outstanding. Also at the bar, he is the numismatist. He's back with us, and this is his first time in the new setup here in the TSPL. Louis Pizzolatto. What do you think of the digs, Lou?
I kind of like how it lays out. It was a little dangerous and hazardous at first when I first got here.
Well, that's just because you weren't watching where you were going. You're tripping over light bars.
I was so amazed by the scenery that I didn't realize there was a tripwire on the floor.
Yeah, no tripwires. We're not setting up booby traps. Well, we're not going there. Anyway, that's a bad joke waiting to happen. We're glad you're here. We're glad to have you back with us. What, Kathleen? I see you with your hands out. What is that about?
Well, you said booby traps, and I'm the only one in here.
Well,
and it wasn't my fault.
We didn't go there. We did not go there at all.
It was not my fault. He tripped.
Yeah, okay, sure. All right, so let's start with our weekly whiskey. Oh, wait, we got to say hi because, and I've actually got to give credit where credit is due. Because the Implicit Bias pledge, who does not have the pledge pin on this week, but I know why. It's because he rolled in hot from his own radio show. He is our producer, Walker Griffon. We can excuse it this week, Walker.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I left it in my car from when we went to Cypress Bayou. So.
And that's where I really have to give you credit. Because for those of you who know, we were down actually at Mr. Lester's Steakhouse at Cypress Bayou Casino, Louisiana's only 5-star restaurant between New Orleans and Houston. And it was Walker's first time flying solo running that show, and it went like clockwork, Walker. I was really impressed. So well done.
Thank you.
We didn't make his job any easier either. Like I was impressed with him. He rolled with the punches.
What did you do to make his job more difficult?
I was there.
Well,
It's kind of how it is.
you do seem to have that effect on situations.
Yep.
How can we make this harder? Let's invite Caleb. That happens. But Walker, we're thrilled that you're here. Glad that you hopefully enjoyed being down at Mr. Lester's because, man, the food that Chef Willie rolls out is always fantastic. It's always a great night, and you did a great job. So we thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and I had a blast.
I'm also going to give a shout out to Aaron David. He's actually not with us in the TSPL this week, and that's not on him. That's on me because we rescheduled our recording night, and I'm so used to only talking about audio that I kind of forgot to tell the guy who makes video happen. Kind of hard to do video without Aaron here. So, Aaron, we'll see you next week.
If it makes you feel any better, Aaron, we looked at the power plugs and we were like, that's too complicated.
Speaking of complicated, we are finishing up Toasted Barrel Month, which finishing a bourbon, a whiskey in a toasted barrel can get complicated and must be done right. Caleb, do you want to tell us what whiskey we are finishing with this month from our weekly whiskey partner at New News?
So this is the Yellowstone Toasted Series. This is 100 proof. I was trying to get a mash bill on it, but I wasn't able to find it. This one's pretty pleasurable. I mean, on the nose, I get the corn, and then I made up a word. I called it Jack-esque.
Jack-esque?
Yeah, I get a little bit of like that banana scent, the sweetness of like that Tennessee whiskey, even though this is not from Tennessee. This is from Kentucky. This is Limestone Branch, I think is what it's called, their distillery. But it's got that kind of banana smell. And I was trying to put my finger on it. I think it's more banana magnolia than banana runt.
What is banana magnolia? This is a new one.
What? That's new?
To me, it's
that
new.
Can't be new to you. Banana magnolia is a small flower. It's about the size of your thumbnail. and it's like a magnolia banana hybrid, so it's got a sweet, soft scent. It's really nice. Great for around your house. The hummingbirds love it.
Learn something new every day. Banana magnolia is not one that I'm accustomed to. So I'm curious if we go to the bar, kind of what we think about this. Kathleen, you actually got a little bit of the aroma on this when you were able to nose hump the glass a little bit. What's funny about that? You were just smelling the aroma. That's all that is. Get your mind out of the gutter, Kathleen. You're about to be a mother again. All right, Kathleen, seriously. You got to get the aroma of this. I know you put a little taste to your lips. What do you think of this one?
It's not my favorite, to be honest.
Okay, so why or why not? It's okay.
I just don't care for the flavor of it. Maybe it is a little too sweet just for me.
Okay.
I just, and I don't get enough of it to, like, I guess, truly give it a good opinion. But it just hasn't been my favorite.
Okay.
Not a fan.
All right. Let's go to Walker while we switch microphones at the bar. So, Walker, your thoughts?
I'm not a big fan of it, but it's definitely not that bad. I enjoy it. It's a little spicy. I would say spicy corn.
I think you're spot on. You get that sweet. You do get spicy. Like there's probably a high rye portion of this mash bill. Like it might be over 25, 26% rye, where you do start to get, and it's peppery almost.
Yes.
And it's not too strong on necessarily the finish as in the proof. It is just spicy on the palate. I get that heavy pepper on the palate, and I do get a lot of sweet in this. So I'm thinking it's probably high corn. It's also or a lot of corn and probably a high rye on the mash bill. I do get a little bit of that caramel, and I do get that the toasted or the toasting finish on this really levels this out for me. If this was not toasted, I probably would not be a fan at all. But the fact that it is finished in toasted barrels, that now all of a sudden gives me a little bit of that marshmallowy kind of flavor to it, which I actually kind of like. Lou, let's go to you. I'm curious as to what you think of this because you typically don't like things over 100 or at 100 proof.
And this one I don't like, and it's at 100. To me, it's like popping in some toast into the toaster, and it's not burnt, but it's definitely overcooked. And sitting on top of it is a little bit of pepper and a lot of cinnamon with nowhere near enough sugar.
So you don't get a lot of sweet. You're getting a lot of cinnamon and a lot of pepper on it.
Right.
That's really interesting because I do get the sweet. Now that you say cinnamon, I can see where you get that cinnamon flavor from. But I find this almost, to me, too sweet and maybe too light, which is really, really interesting. Caleb, you have the Implicit Bias Whiskey Tasting Journal. You want to write down and tell us the notes that you have on this particular whiskey?
So on the palate, out the gate, like I get the sweetness immediately, but it's a thin sweet. And not like an artificial one, like you would think with like sucrose or something else, but like it's a thin, sugary sweet. It's the corn that's in there. But then it quickly dissipates, and then it comes back. It's a warm pepper finish with hints of cinnamon. I get a little tiny hint of caramel. Like I thought about caramel when I was in the grocery store, then kept on walking. And like it's got just enough there. It's not overly complex. There's not a whole lot to it. And it finishes clean, but I wish it had more substance.
I agree with you. I think it is what we would say thin.
Yeah. I put thin.
Yep. I think this is relatively thin. I'll be curious to see maybe if we give this a couple drops of water and whiskey, see what that does to it, which we'll do in later segments. I'll also be curious to see if it opens up at all.
I hope it does. I mean, I've seen what the water and whiskey I've tasted what it can do to other things. And if it augments this and opens it up, there's a lot of flavors that are subtle in there that I would like to see brought to the front.
All right, so it is now time to play What Would You Pay and rate this on the Morse Whiskey rating code. For the uninitiated here on the show, let me go ahead and tell you what that is, which, by the way, would be Walker, although he does know what the Morse Whiskey rating code is. The Morse Whiskey rating code: red, I wouldn't drink it even if it was free. Yellow, I would only drink it if it was free. Green, I would buy it. Blue, I would seek this out. And then what would you pay? You're simply going to put what you think the liquid in the bottle is worth, and whoever just happens to be closest wins the the What Would You Pay Championship belt chain, which is sitting at the bar. Yes, it's in Lewis's grimy green hands now after picking that up. but you will get to wear the belt chain presented by Luxury Limo of Lafayette for the rest of the show, whoever is closest to the hole on that one. And God, that's a bad P. Diddy reference. All right, so Walker, let's start with you.
I'm gonna give
First of all, where do you rate it?
a yellow.
You give it a yellow. Okay.
You saw me write that.
No, I didn't. I haven't looked at you.
You're right next to me.
What would you pay?
$52.
$52 and a yellow. Okay, let's go to the bar. Kathleen.
It's a yellow for me.
Okay.
And I actually was going to say 52, but I'm going 62.
Going 62. Oh, she's going up by 10. All right, Lewis, what are you thinking?
$45 and it's a yellow for me.
45 and a yellow. Caleb.
Everyone saw my notes. It's a yellow. Like, I want to give it higher. I do want to give it higher remarks because it does taste fair, but it's not there yet for me. So it's gonna still be a yellow. I'm gonna keep running with it. It's a good yellow. $58.
$58 for Caleb. Okay. I'm going to steal something and give a shout out to Justin Richard, who is Acadiana's gunsmith. He's been on the show before. This is young to me. It's the one word we have not yet used to describe this particular whiskey. This just tastes young. It needs some additional time in the barrel, if you ask me. It would really benefit from that, picking up some more caramels, picking up some deeper flavors, and maybe delivering just a little bit more. I don't know that it needs a ton more time in the barrel, but it does need some. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, this is a unanimous yellow. It's been a long time since we've had something that was a unanimous, whether it was blue, green, yellow, whatever. This one, to me, straight up yellow. Would I drink it? Absolutely. Would I go out and buy this one? There's a lot out there that I might skew towards, especially with some of the bottles that we've had on the show as of late. Let's be quite honest, we've been spoiled. We were spoiled at Mr. Lester's last week with the 4-gate. We were spoiled with the Larceny, that particular, the B123, that batch, 123. I mean, we've got bottles of Redline on the bar. We've got a bottle of Johnny Drum. We have been spoiled. But if somebody were to offer this and it's all that's there, I would absolutely drink it, so that classifies it as a yellow. The fun part is who wins the What Would You Pay Championship Belt Chain presented by Luxury Limo of Lafayette. And the winner is the man whose greasy, grimy, grubby, green hands had it at the beginning. This is a $44.19 bottle of whiskey at our weekly whiskey partner in Lafayette. If you're living in New Orleans, if you're in Monroe, you're in Vidalia, or Vidalia, however you want to say it, Caleb. Vidalia, whatever. You can find this probably on the shelf. But at New News here in Lafayette, $44.19. Go ahead, Lewis. You can put on the championship belt chain as you hold it up because we're not on camera and nobody can see it.
I think that's got to be the most fake gold he's held today.
Yeah, it probably has.
You'd be surprised how much fake gold I see.
We are going to come back. We are going to dive into the problems of the world. We're going to solve them 1, maybe 3, maybe 5 weekly whiskeys at a time. We are going to test you and tell you how we be tested, how we're being tested, how we be tested. Great English there, Cavan. How we're being tested on this week's episode of Implicit Bias. See you in 2. Your weekly whiskey segment brought to you by New News Markets, Youngsville, Scott, Milton, Maurice. Great selections, great prices. Go find the weekly whiskey you're looking for at Acadiana's favorite whiskey stop.
At Industrial Fabrication Services, we've been serving the oil, gas, agricultural, and refinery industries for 15 years. I'm owner Jonathan Broussard, and I've worked in fabrication and welding, covering a multitude of techniques, processes, and design for over 30 years. Our goal is to be personal and hands-on. Let Industrial Fabrication Services bring your project to life. Call us at 337-330-2326. Or find us at ifsllc.net. Industrial Fabrication Services.
Nobody likes to drive around in a grimy ride. Clean that car the Cajun way. Zydeco Ride and Shine Car Wash at 320 Willow and Cajun Car Wash at 510 Lafayette Street in Youngsville are there for you. Our facilities provide you with the best automatic car wash in the Acadiana area. Regulars get a bonus. Buy 3 washes at a location, get the 4th one free. Zydeco Ride and Shine and Cajun Car Wash, keeping Acadiana's rides clean since 2014.
Can't find an Uber or Lyft? Luxury Limo of Lafayette offers scheduled pickups and drop-offs and even airport transportation in style. Get dropped off and picked up in their luxurious 12-passenger Mercedes-Benz Sprinter with limo-style interior or their Cadillac Escalade SUV. Reserve a sleek black town car for a night out with friends or dinner with your sweetheart. That's Luxury Limo of Lafayette, 565-4385 or luxurylimooflafayette.net. Spoil yourself to luxury with Luxury Limo of Lafayette.
Men want to look like men. That means when it's time for a fresh cut, men go where men go. All American Barbering. Licensed barber Nick Duplichan and the staff at All American Barbering do it right. From old school haircuts to straight razor shaves to beard trim and shaping. Even boys look like men after a cut from All American Barbering. A veteran-owned business, All American Barbering is located in Broussard at 807 Albertsons Parkway, Suite B. Schedule your appointment to look like a man at their website, allamericanbarbering.com. Remember, men, when you want to look like a man, go to Broussard. Go to All American Barbering.
Hour one of Implicit Bias is brought to you by Piper's Haven, 3916 West Congress in Lafayette, Louisiana, featuring Louisiana's only certified master tobacconist, Rene Girard. Go there. He's got 553 square feet of walk-in humidor. The certified Wizard of Tobacco has everything you need. Cigars, pipes, pipe tobacco, cutters, lighters. It's all at Piper's Haven, 3916 West Congress. Hour one of Implicit Bias continues to roll on from the top secret podcast lair presented by Mr. Lester's Steakhouse. I'm your host, Cavan Bordelon, and yes, we are into our weekly whiskey. We are going to start solving the problems of the world right here, right now. Let me introduce you to the crew very quickly before we do. Sitting at the bar, we have Louis Pizzolatto, the numismatist here on Implicit Bias. That means old coin collector. Something like that, right, Louis? Yeah, he's going to nod, and he's going to now grab the microphone.
Yes.
I know you're old and slow. Thank you. I gave you some time by vamping there for a second. We also have Kathleen, the real deal Terrio. Kathleen, fantastic to have you here.
Thank you again, as always.
To my right, he is the man, the myth, the legend. He is the rustic renegade, Caleb Morse. Glad you got a weekly whiskey. I know you're probably working on 2 or 3 by this point.
I'm trying to slow down, but these bottles keep staring at me.
Yeah, sure they do. Yeah. And in the corner, he is the Implicit Bias pledge. He's better off dead. It's also his nickname. That is Walker Griffon. Walker, how things going over in the corner?
Going great. Everything's running well.
Outstanding. Okay, so continuation from last week's show is the conversation around the parties. And I don't mean like the party that we threw at Mr. Lester's or the party that we throw here weekly in the TSPL, because we like to think that the parties that we throw get a little bit wild.
You mean like the party that P. Diddy invited DiCaprio to that he was all excited about?
Oh, I believe there's somebody who actually went and said ain't no party like a Diddy party. Which just sounds bad enough until you start to realize what happened at some of these Diddy parties and what apparently, and by Diddy, I mean like P. Diddy.
Not like Diddy or didn't he?
No. I mean like P. Diddler. Like Puff Diddler, right? Like Sean Puffy Combs. That's the parties
even
that I'm talking about.
Pee Wee Herman didn't go this far out, right?
Well, Pee Wee Herman didn't have his parties in private.
Yeah, well, that's what got him in trouble.
He had his parties in movie theaters, which is a whole nother story.
And that was solo. He didn't invite people.
He actually had his privates in public.
Yeah.
Yes.
And see, that was a solo party. That wasn't a invite all your friends and others.
Correct.
And some younger ones.
Yeah, which is a whole nother thing. So we know that Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, the Diddler, is now allegedly still alive and in jail. Mm-hmm. What we're starting to find out is maybe, potentially, who some of the people who were involved in these parties. And the question is, how do we know? Well, all you have to do is what's called manage by exception. What does that mean? It means don't look at who's still on a particular list. Look at who took their name off of lists. Who's not there. Now, where is there? Twitter's a great place to start.
It's a great place to start.
It's a fantastic place to start because since Diddy has been arrested, we have seen multiple people heavily connected to Puff Diddy, the P. Diddler, delete everything in their Twitter history. All of a sudden, it becomes Kaiser Soze and it's gone.
If I just delete it, it vanishes, right? I mean, that's what Hillary said.
You would think. Well, but Hillary also used hammers and something called a bleach bit. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, and these people just figured they could delete replies, delete comments, not really delete accounts.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But let's talk about who has actually deleted their entire Twitter histories since the Puff Diddler was taken to jail. Mm-hmm. Let's start with Pink.
Oh, I followed her. Yeah, I followed it. No,
I don't lie. Don't lie.
How could you possibly have a Diddy party without a Lil Pink?
Got some zingers tonight.
Where's the bell? Where's the bell, Walker?
Know.
The bell needs to be
Walker,
rung
just
for
go
that.
ding.
Oh,
Just
yes. That is a multiple ding on the bell.
Man.
The P Dinger right there is a whole nother one. Okay, so Pink, her entire history, gone.
Yep.
Here's another good one. Chrissy Teigen. Chrissy Teigen.
Wait, why does that sound familiar?
Isn't that John Legend's wife?
Allegedly.
Oh.
What?
Well, I mean, what do we really know now? At this point, I'm not willing to say that we know anything is real.
I mean, did they really delete it all? Like it's gone forever? I don't have Twitter.
Yes,
So
the internet, nothing's ever gone forever
well,
on the internet.
that's what I'm getting at.
So Chrissy Teigen deleted her stuff, her tweets from X. And I say tweets because she put all this out there when it was Twitter. And the really interesting part was some of the stuff that Chrissy Teigen put out there was just flat out sick. Like it was about babies and children. And when you read it and you went, you can't be serious. You cannot be serious that she would put this on Twitter, but she absolutely did.
Did her husband delete hers? I mean, his?
I haven't seen that. So this comes from Red Pill Drifter. These are screenshots. Chrissy Teigen tweet. Seeing little girls do the splits half naked is just, I want to put myself in jail.
What?
That was a tweet by Chrissy Teigen.
When was this?
Oh, this was years ago. This particular tweet was 2011. I'm going to jail over pizza.
Was she drunk?
That would go back to Pizzagate.
What is pizza? If you listen to the FBI, pizza's a code word for a child.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, this
was just out there.
This is some deep, sick stuff.
Dang it, I liked her.
It always weirds me out how strong little toddlers' tummies can look. And I aware of how absolutely disturbing that sounds. I mean, you got to think about some of this and what's there. I'm going to give you the word. Well, I say the worst. Retweet secret naked hobo, pedophile's delight, ? Toddlers and tiaras, *4, Don's fake boobs and butt. That's the tweet. That is the tweet from Chrissy Teigen.
Ew.
I mean, does this not disturb? I'm curious. If you had known this was out there, would this have disturbed you years ago?
Well, yeah, I didn't even know that existed. I liked her, but that's really gross.
That's really weird, right? It's really odd. Why do you think she might delete some of these things? Why do you think she would all of a sudden want to get rid of this?
Well, there's clearly more if she's deleted everything.
Well, if that's the kind of stuff you put on social media.
Oh, if this is the stuff you're making public, what are you doing behind closed doors? So, number one, Chrissy Teigen deleted. Pink deleted her stuff. Usher has deleted everything on his. Does anybody know the connection between Puff Diddler and Usher? This is another kind of deep rabbit hole. So remember, Usher spent time
He lived with him.
Oh, say that again, Lewis.
He lived with him.
And ring the bell, because that is exactly right. Yep. Do you know how old Usher was when he lived with him?
15,
16 years old, right?
I don't know how I remember that. I don't.
Under the age of consent.
He was under, that's the big thing. He was under the age of consent.
But didn't Justin Bieber live with him too? Or?
Spent a day or like a week with him.
Yeah.
We don't know that Justin Bieber lived with him. What we do know
he stayed there
is that there's an awful lot of smoke around the relationship between P. Daddy and Justin Bieber. There is a ton of smoke around it. And if you go back and watch some of the interactions that are on video between the diddler and the Biebs, it's disturbing. It is highly disturbing, and the allegations are just bad. Now, I don't know. I'd love to say that I know. But what I will say is this. The FBI, as we talked about, they're going after the diddler for RICO, racketeering, influence, corrupt organization charges. They're talking extortion. They're talking all this. His bodyguard has now come out and said, hey, there were people at the record companies in charge of making sure that certain people were there, all this. You now have allegations coming out, and for entertainment purposes only, we always like to reiterate that. You now have allegations coming out that there were political figures at these parties as well, which would really potentially create some issues, because I don't know about y'all, but I typically don't see a lot of people from one particular party hanging out with a lot of movie stars and Hollywood actor type movie and music types. Do you? I mean, I think typically all these music types are endorsing one side of the aisle. So if there are a lot of politicians involved, the P. Dangler, man, he may just be the one that brings everything down. And that's what's so incredibly scary. I mean, you've even got Steve Harvey deleting tweets, allegedly, about Puff Daddy. Specifically. And Steve Harvey is... Really? Steve Harvey, there's a relationship there. Like, Steve Harvey is his father-in-law or something of that nature. There's a relationship there. There's familial ties. So I just can't quite get over this, and I don't think we can stop looking at this, because this is a deep, deep, deep rabbit hole. What you got, Kathleen?
Do you think they'll be able to make these ties before the election? There's how many days left?
Oh, well, we're what, 5-6 weeks out now? I mean,
I think it's like
we're not far.
42 days or something.
Yeah, we're not very far out from the election.
So can they do it in time before the election?
Can they or will they?
That's a good point. It'll be after.
Yeah, the DOJ is going to be the one in charge of the investigation. And if you think about now what the FBI has, because they confiscated, 15 years worth of video from Diddy's houses, right? From the Diddy Ranch and the Diddy house and the Diddy bungalow and all. They confiscated 15 years worth of video, and allegedly, now this is an interesting rabbit hole, 1,000 bottles of baby oil from one house, to which I love the way his attorney tried to explain this away, and please don't believe us on this, go look it up. Oh, he bought it in bulk, so that's why he had 1,000 bottles.
How many come in a case?
Not just that.
And then how much baby oil do you go through to need bulk baby oil?
There you go.
To me, bulk baby oil is like, I bought 2.
Yeah, there's the point. There's the full point, which is, why do you need to buy baby oil in bulk?
Well, some of those bodies in the R&B department need a lot of baby oil.
Hey, Biggie was shot years ago. It's all I'm going to say. Biggie was shot years ago.
You'd think even with everything that they were doing and everything he's accused of, you'd think about like 55-gallon drum.
Yeah, which actually, it's surprising, because that would at least be a little more economical.
Yeah, because then you could be like
with 100 refillable bottles.
Yeah, that you'd be like, look, I bought it by the barrel or by the drum, not like that's
1,000
I made a
bottles.
mistake. You know, I wanted 5 ounces and I got 55 gallons.
And imagine, because he didn't go buy that himself.
Oh, no.
He sent somebody out. Imagine being the person going out that was like, I know what this is for.
Yeah, well, usually we make pledges do stuff like that. So Walker, did you buy the baby oil, Walker? Do we need to tell Kennedy about this?
So you're saying the Beebs went out there and bought all 1,000?
Oh, no, no. We are not going there.
Amazon delivered it. It's fine.
Meek Mill might have went and got it.
We have so many accusations now around this. We have his bodyguard tied, and we'll get into this in another segment, because there's perhaps another really famous musician, maybe the most famous musician in the history of the world, tied to this. And maybe, just maybe he wasn't the bad guy we thought he was. We'll talk about that when we come back, and just how far this whole Diddy thing goes as we continue Implicit Bias.
I'm Lee Ritter with Ritter Consulting Engineers. If you're in the real estate industry or property management, you may need to take a look at us. We offer advanced drone services providing aerial photography, site surveys, and roof inspections. We also offer state-of-the-art 3D imaging for accurate and detailed floor plans and site models for your use. If you're a real estate agent looking to up your game, give us a call, 337-984-8498 or RitterConsultingEngineers.com.
How sweet it is. Gambino's Bakery of Lafayette can satisfy all of your bakery needs. Cakes, cookies, pastries, melt-in-your-mouth pedophores, wedding cakes, and of course, the original New Orleans Dauberge cake. Family owned and operated, let Gambino's Bakery take care of all your dessert needs for your family gathering, tailgate, holiday, or any special occasion. Visit with the baking professionals in Lafayette. Find what fits your taste. Enjoy the sweet life with Gambino's Bakery of Lafayette, 3802 Johnston Street. Call them at 337-406-9066 or online at gambinos.com.
Water damage needs to be fixed the right way the first time. For water damage in Acadiana, turn to the best, ZB Environmental. Utilizing large commercial desiccant dehumidifiers, Zach Blanchard is even there for homes or businesses that have lost utilities. ZB Environmental will also rent portable drying equipment as well. For your damage assessment, call ZB Environmental at 337-247-4200 or zbenvironmental.com. That's zbenvironmental.com.
Drink Kacheri's Coffee, the official coffee of Implicit Bias. Available at La Creperie on Colley's Saloon, at the Rustic Renegade, Automotive Gear on Judson Walsh and Opelousas, and the Chill House, the dessert destination in Maurice. Kacheri's Coffee, the official coffee of Implicit Bias. Hour one of Implicit Bias is brought to you by Piper's Haven, 3916 West Congress in Lafayette, Louisiana, featuring Louisiana's only certified master tobacconist, Rene Girard. Go there. He's got 553 square feet of walk-in humidor. The certified Wizard of Tobacco has everything you need. Cigars, pipes, pipe tobacco, cutters, lighters. It's all at Piper's Haven, 3916 West Congress. We were raised in a middle-class family by middle-class parents on Implicit Bias, and we are going to continue to solve the problems of the world one weekly whiskey at a time. But what we will also do is we will actually answer a freaking question. I'm your host, Cavan Bordelon. We have a great crew with you here in the Top Secret Podcast Layer, presented by Mr. Lester Steakhouse. Let me tell you who's here in the TSPL. At the bar, we have Kathleen, the real deal Terrio. We have Louis, the numismatist Pizzolatto. We have in the corner the Implicit Bias pledge, Better Off Dead. And in the chair sitting across from me, he is the man, the myth, the legend. He is Caleb Morse, the rustic renegade himself. So we were digging into Diddy. Don't take that the wrong way. I mean, like digging into the Diddy story.
Oh, God.
Come on, y'all knew that was funny. Y'all knew that was funny. No, we're just digging into the story because there is so much here. And where it goes, I was honestly so shocked to see how many connections. So, Kathleen, you actually said something about how big this story is during the break. You think this story is bigger than another story that is somewhat similar.
Oh, I asked if it was bigger than Epstein.
You didn't ask. You said you think this is bigger.
Yeah. I definitely think it's bigger.
I absolutely agree with you. I think this is bigger than Epstein. And here's one reason why. We talked a little bit about this last week. Nobody knew who Epstein was. Like, the general public had no idea who Jeffrey Epstein was when he got arrested. Everybody, whether you follow politics or not, you know who the P. Diddler is. Everybody knows Puff Daddy.
Did you see they put his house on the market? Obviously, I saw that because
I did not. And I would not want to. Dear Lord, I don't go through there with a UV light. That's all I'm saying.
There's 11 pictures on Realtor.com, and they're all of the outside.
It comes with
There's 0 of the inside.
Comes with a 50-foot bed back there.
$60.1 million.
Dear Lord, why on earth? So my only thought is they're looking to liquidate some cash, and they're hoping that someone buys it who maybe wants to cover it up, because there's big dollars behind him.
Oh, correct.
There's big dollars behind him. And his bodyguard has come out. So, Walker, you were saying that there's audio. We're not going to play it, but there's audio of Meek Mill, who is another rapper, and Puff Daddy that his bodyguard recorded, correct?
Yeah, he filmed it up. He recorded it and pressed his phone up against a door or like under it.
So the bodyguard was outside the door.
Yes.
And he was making sure no one went in.
Yeah, he was like, I saw a video of him and he said, well, if everything's going on and something goes wrong, I'm going to make me some cash off of this. So put his video, he recorded the audio from it.
It's really frightening and sick where all this goes. But what's maybe even more interesting is just how deep. His bodyguard has now implicated people like Clive Davis, major record executives. You've got a lot of big ties to all of this. Perhaps the most interesting tie. We're not saying, we're just going to outline this for you. Michael Jackson's first bodyguard was basically his father figure in his life, because Michael Jackson's dad was just not a great human being. So Michael Jackson really took to his initial bodyguard, who passed away. Michael Jackson paid all of his medical bills, the whole 9 yards. And hand wrote a letter to him that just really actually said, thank you for being my father. Something to that nature. Please don't believe us. Go look this up. The guy that took over being Michael Jackson's bodyguard from the record label, take a guess who he also worked for. This was in the video if you saw it.
It was too long.
Yeah, I know. The video was more than 30 seconds. Lewis, did you know who this guy worked for?
Well, we probably know because we've been talking about him a lot, but it's Puff Daddy.
Again, don't believe me on this one. Please go look this up. So Michael Jackson's bodyguard, who was running, he was running security for Michael Jackson, ends up going to work for Puff Daddy at the behest of the record label. But here's the really interesting part. What was he in charge of for Puff Daddy? His job as chief of security? What?
Was it entertainment?
Yes, it was. It was procurement for entertainment.
You know, when you're good at something, people seek you out.
Which now leads us to go, okay, was Michael Jackson... Because Michael Jackson was actually, and this is the interesting part, Michael Jackson was going... Did anybody know who Michael Jackson was going after? Did y'all get that far in the video?
No.
Oh, we did, but I don't remember.
I'm going to be honest with you. No.
It was a good video. You need to watch it.
It was. Michael Jackson was going after Sony.
Oh, that's right.
Michael Jackson actually was supposed to have like 50% of Sony and caught them siphoning money off of it. He was suing them right before he allegedly OD'd on propofol.
And the bodyguard was there.
And who was there? The bodyguard.
You know, there's no such thing as a coincidence.
Well, yeah, so you've been in law enforcement, Kathleen. You were a law enforcement officer. When you keep lining up coincidence after coincidence after coincidence, what is that typically, what do we call that?
That's usually a clue. FBI calls that a clue.
That's usually a pattern. It's called circumstantial evidence. Yep. You've got a lot of circumstantial evidence that Michael Jackson was surrounded by really bad people. Now, I don't know if Michael Jackson was a bad guy or not. He might have been. He might have been a terrible human being.
But did you see they showed? Can you put that that video somewhere?
We'll put it up. Yeah, we will requote that video and put that back up. It's Ian Carroll on Twitter who actually really outlines it and shows you all the documentation. But when I tell you, Michael Jackson was surrounded by bad people. He was surrounded by bad people. And the really interesting part is, like, Michael Jackson's accuser was also up for a big record deal right before. And take a guess what company he was signed with? Would it happen to be the same company that Michael Jackson was trying to take back over? I mean, there's so many coinkydinks here. It just makes you wonder, how connected is all of this? Because, man, if we go down this entire rabbit hole, we're going to find ourselves in a lot of really, really interesting places. So I'm going to give credit to this one. Shadows of Ezra on Twitter. Diddy was signed to Universal Music Group. Diddy, Disney might be same thing. Anyway, Diddy was signed to Universal Music Group. Universal Music Group owned Def Jam, co-founded by Russell Simmons. Universal Music Group was acquired by Seagram's. Anybody remember the name of the family that owned Seagram's out of Canada? The last name was Bronfman. Claire Bronfman made the news a couple years ago. Anybody remember what Claire Bronfman made the news for? Oh, we should. Claire Bronfman was linked to NXIVM Nexum's sex trafficking ring that she went to jail for. She allegedly financed and purchased an island for them. You might remember the actress from Smallville, Allison Mack, was involved in that case. Nexum's leader, Keith Raniere, take a guess who he shared attorneys with. Who did you say this case was bigger than?
Jeffrey Epstein.
He shared attorneys with Jeffrey Epstein. So when Caleb said all these people during the break, he said all these people run together. Gee, what happens when they share attorneys?
Well, and the video that we're referencing talks about how all of the record labels owns all the media or the news outlets.
Yep.
So that's how it gets blown up so big so quickly.
Here's the really interesting part. So they share the same attorney, and members of Nexum, take a guess who they were funneling money to back around 2016.
Oh, that's all part of that same story. I will never suicide myself.
Yeah, I'm happy. I enjoy my life. I really don't want to be Arkansided with 2 to the back of the head.
Yeah.
They were funneling money to the Clintons.
Oops.
Please don't believe us on this. Go look up Shadows of Ezra on Twitter. Follow the links. I mean, it's all there. It's all there. But when you start to wonder just how important is P. Dangler, it could be the downfall of everything. And man, that could be the beginning of us maybe finally getting out of all of the garbage. Because, yeah, so to your point, Kathleen, you said they also own the news media. The record labels, the media, they're all tied together. There was actually a survey done, and we're going to get into this in hour 2. There was a survey done of news media, and take a guess which side of the aisle, like 75% of the news media aligns with.
It's horrible. The disparity is just astronomical.
There's almost 0 Republicans in the news media. There's a sliver of independents. The rest are all aligned and registered Democrats. Let's remember, anybody know what George Stephanopoulos' job was before he became a news anchor?
He was Clinton's talking head.
That's exactly what he was, Lewis. He worked for the Clintons. He had 0 journalistic chops. Nothing. 0 zip zilch nada nunca none.
And he goes work for ABC, I think is the network. And you have to think that the people that he was working for probably sent him there because he could do more there than he could do standing answering questions.
Rang that bell. That is an absolute, that is an axiom of truth, is that he could do more damage as an alleged journalist than he could ever do as a political hack for the Clintons. because his influence becomes tens of hundreds of millions, not just the few that are paying attention to politics. Think about that. Think about who all those people work for. And look, just so you know, we're not partial to one side of the aisle. What journalistic chops did Jenna Bush have before she went to work for major network news? Damn near none. Her last name. That's it. That's all she had going for her. That's not all we have going for you, though. Because this, as we're starting to wrap up hour one, is just the beginning of where things get to be, much more fun on Implicit Bias. So if you are listening in one of our radio affiliates that only catches hour one, find us on all of our social media networks. Find us anywhere you find podcast, Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube. We're on all of them. Find us, catch hour two. If you are on our radio network, hang on. It's coming right back because hour two is always more fun on Implicit Bias.
Hey, folks, it's your buddy John Rich from Big and Rich. You know, the weather's getting warmer, the days are getting longer, and there's never been a better time to celebrate your freedom. If you're looking for that perfect cocktail to celebrate with, make it Redneck Riviera American Blended Whiskey. From the glass to the cork to the juice inside, it's 100% made in America, incredibly smooth, affordable, and proudly supporting the Folds of Honor. Visit redneckriviera.com to find a store near you. Drink American.
Hey Acadiana, I'm Kathleen Terrio with Next Home Cutting Edge Realty. I know realtors seem to be on every corner, but the good ones aren't. I promise to give you top-notch customer service that includes honesty, availability, and professionalism. If you're looking for a realtor you can trust and is available during your most important purchase, call me, Kathleen, where the service goes beyond the closing day. For all your commercial needs, investment properties, or your next home, call Kathleen with Next Home Cutting Edge Realty, 337-412-1536. That's 337-412-1536. Or find me on the web searching Kathleen Terrio Realtor.
Dupree Carrier Godshaw provides insurance locally as well as nationwide. A full-service agency, Dupree Carrier Godshaw can take care of all of your needs, from personal auto, home, or business, group health, life, or investment products. Dupree Carrier Godshaw is a growing business and is currently hiring. Email resumes to charles.l@dcgagency.com. For all of your insurance needs, call Dupree Carrier Godshaw at 337-948-8186 or visit dcgagency.com.
This is Louis Pizzolata, the owner of Coin and Treasure. We're your local source for rare coins, bullion, silver, and gold. In these unprecedented and uncertain times of government overreaching and economic instability, the security of having gold and silver is the perfect way to diversify your portfolio. Both gold and silver have been the tangible assets since the beginning of recorded times. Visit us today at Coin and Treasure. We are local, experienced, and still American-owned and American-proud. For 43 years, it's Coin and Treasure, 2472 West Congress.
NewsTalk 96.5 KPEL, Brobridge, Lafayette, broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax Pro Studios. Find them online at MatthewJamesTaxPros.com.
The views expressed in the following show are those of the hosts or hosts only. They do not represent NewsTalk 96.5 KPEL or Town Square Media.
Hour two of Implicit Bias is brought to you by William S. Nacall Jewelers, 3802 Johnson Street in Lafayette, Louisiana. Go find Grant Galatas. Tell him you want bigger, better diamonds for less, whatever you need, whatever you're looking for. They'll customize something just for you to make sure that your special someone gets that something oh so special. William S. Nacall Jewelers, 3802 Johnson Street, Lafayette. It is always more fun during hour 2. Why? Because we're on multiple weekly whiskeys at that point, and we have got weekly whiskeys from our weekly whiskey partners and from one of our favorite purveyors of weekly whiskeys, Mr. Lester Steakhouse down at Cypress Bayou Casino. I am your host, Cavan Bordelon. We have with us a great crew here in the Top Secret Podcast Lair. We have across the end table for me, he is Caleb Morse, the Rustic Renegade. Sitting in the corner, and we keep him there for a reason, is Walker Griffon, the Implicit Bias Pledge. And then sitting at the bar, we have Louis Pizzolatto, the numismatist, who we're going to talk to about a very specific story later in the show, something that's right up his alley. No, it's not a Diddy question. We are going to then talk to him about something that has to do with gold and silver and all that fun stuff. And sitting next to him is Kathleen, the real deal Terrio. So before we go in and dive into some more weekly whiskey, we just got some other headlines we got to throw out there. So these are always fun because, man, the whole Diddy story, it just keeps going. It just keeps going. The Daily Mail, how's this for a headline? According to the Daily Mail, Diddy's bodyguard says there are tapes of politicians at freak-offs and claims rapper learned from other music moguls.
No.
Yes. Just in, Diddy's former bodyguard has revealed the mogul retained tapes of big politicians partaking in his infamous freak-off parties per Daily Mail.
Say what?
The bodyguard says Diddy's trial would very likely expose high-level officials.
I got no sound for that one.
No. I mean, tell me we kind of don't know this without telling me we don't know this. So this is the first question I have to ask. What rock do you have to live under? How sheltered do you need to be to not realize that there are big name politicians who are wound up in this?
It's not what rock you live under. It's how much are you willing to ignore?
Okay.
How much are you willing to bury your own head in the sand and say that this kind of evil doesn't exist and that it perpetuates itself?
But they're just going to spin it because that's their favorite thing to do. So they're going to figure out a way to spin it in their favor.
They're going to spin it or pin it. And then they're going to try to say, look over here, look what we did. You know, we gave him the death penalty, or we did something else, and you'll hear nothing else about this.
Right, just going to disappear.
This goes so far. Now, I'm not saying these things are connected. It just seems really odd that we also got some other really interesting things happening with the arrest of Diddy. Does anybody know who David Joseph is? David Joseph, chairman/CEO of Universal Music UK for the last 17 years. Take a guess what he just did.
Resigned.
He stepped down.
Just in case.
The entire board of directors of 23andMe. Take a guess what they did. They all walked away a day and a half after Diddy got arrested.
Well, I wonder what they would do with that kind of genetic data and material.
Oh, there's so much here. So much here. And the question is, so you've got names of big name politicians, and you think, oh, this kind of stuff can't be that prolific. And then there's Joe Biden. Then there's Joe Biden on stage. Please do not believe us. Go look this up. And I verified this is not a deep fake. This is not AI video. This is real. Joe Biden on stage says, my staff told me I can't have little girls up on stage, but I'm going to do it anyway. And maybe it wasn't little, maybe it was young girls.
It was young girls.
It was young girls.
And just...
Was
go
that
ahead,
him?
Kathleen.
Was that him or was that a body double?
At
this point, I think that like it's him on there, because the things he's saying, you're like, man, he either doesn't give a damn or he's senile.
Or old habits are hard to break.
Or, and I'll take this a step further, or maybe, just maybe, the people who are really in control are letting them show their true colors. Just maybe he's doing it on orders.
Well, and so much of this stuff's coming out now. We've been seeing leaks. We've been seeing more come out. And then now it's like there's a flood of all this. And you've got people asking for us to accept what they call maps now. They're not pedophiles. They're maps.
Oh, there's that whole thing.
And all this other stuff. They're like, look, this is okay. You should accept. Hell no. We should not accept this. We should have our morals. We should have our convictions. We should stand by them. And the people that are doing this crap to the innocent youth of America should pay the consequence.
So remember when I said in the monologue, and if you missed the monologue, you can go find it on our socials. You can go find it on our podcast. Anywhere you find podcast, anywhere social media, X, Facebook, YouTube, Insta, it's going to be on all of them. You're being tested. We have been tested. Those of you who believe in morals, you've been tested for the last 10 years. Those of us who believe in standards, you've been tested for the last 10 years. Those of us who believe in truth, you've been tested for the last 10 years. And these are the people doing the testing. Why? Because you and the truth that you live are such an affront to their sensibilities.
Evil cannot reside where Christ and God are. They will do everything they can to push us away.
I want you to think about the scene in The Exorcist, which was based on a book by a priest and his experience with an exorcism. Now, it's a movie, which means
embellishment.
They got some embellishment. Good word. I appreciate that. You can ring the bell. Caleb actually got a multi-syllable word out. I'm impressed. No, there's embellishment. However, if you read books about priests who have been involved, when those priests invoke the name of Jesus, invoke the name of God, whatever it is that's in these people, they become seethingly angry and they become powerless. They try, but they can never overcome that power. They cannot live where God, where truth, where light is. And that is the fight we have been fighting for the last 10, 12 years now. I mean, almost 16 years at this point. Maybe even longer than that. This is why it becomes so critical that we pass the test. This is why it becomes so critical that we don't acknowledge, oh, that's okay. No, it's not okay.
Well, it's when we get to heaven, we're going to stand there and they're going to read from the book. And if they say you allowed this to happen, I can't imagine my heart or my soul at that point in time. You have to stand by your convictions.
And to that point, again, we don't mean that you go seek people out and you go try and be mean. What I mean is that old saying, hate the sin, love the sinner. Right? I have deep empathy. I have deep love for people who are imperfect because guess what? We're all trying to be Christian and Catholic on this show. None of us are perfect. And all of our flaws, they add up too. So we are not casting stones at those who live in glass houses, right? What we are saying is we have to take a stand and recognize that right is right and wrong is wrong. And as we get into how depraved all of this behavior is, and this has become what we worship, right? People have worshiped the dangler forever. Mm-hmm. People have worshiped music and rock stars and movie stars and movies and these executives. People have literally worshiped them. And you think, well, I don't pray to them. Yeah, but you do whatever they tell you. You buy the things they tell you to buy.
You vote the way they tell you to vote.
Yeah.
You appeal to what they tell you to appeal to. You follow that lifestyle.
If that's not worship, I don't know what is. So it's time that we stop worshiping that. It's time that we pass the test and we stand up and say no. And guess what? If you were able to listen to that and be like, yeah, but I can still do that, you do you. That lake of fire, that is not what I want when there comes a day and I meet my maker, whether it's real or not. But as for me, I'm going to place the bet that it is because I'd rather need it and not have it. Right? Or I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So as we dive into more of these stories, I'm curious here in the TSPL, do you see this battle now? Is this battle along those lines? And Kathleen, you, as you mentioned, you're getting ready to bring another human being onto this planet. I mean, the human being's here. You're just getting ready to bring them out to the rest of us.
It is a little scary to think about where our world's going with small children coming.
But I guess here's my bigger question. Is it scary or is it truly promising?
That's why we need children like the ones we will raise.
Correct.
Right? You know, like y'all's
Takes the
children, like
parents.
everyone here who has got kids. That's why we need children like what we're raising to shape and change the future from the dismal and bleak look that we have. There is still hope.
I just hope there's enough of us to be able to.
As long as there's one. That's all it takes.
I think we're going to need more than that.
And here's the bigger part. The fight isn't just for your kids. The fight is for all kids.
Correct. And their kids.
Yes. But it's not, and if you think about who has really been affected by everything we've been talking about for the last hour and 20 some odd minutes, it's kids from all over the world. It's kids who were brought into this country for this purpose. It's kids who don't have parents. It's kids who are in terrible circumstances. And look, it's not, as a general rule, it's not the moral people who are having problems with this. Right? It's not. It's people who all end up with the same connections, coming from the same place, doing the same things, and they're all the people who are telling you to vote and do certain things in a certain way. Which is why our implicit bias says, it's kind of like that scene in Pulp Fiction where Bruce Willis asks Ving Rhames, "Are you all right?" And he says, "Nah, no." And he uses much more coarse language. I'm not okay. We're not okay with this. You know what we are okay with? We are okay with grabbing another weekly whiskey. We're going to talk to you about what's at Mr. Lester Steakhouse, which you can get for $15 a pour. What we had when we were out there last week and is still available in the only 5-star restaurant between New Orleans and Houston. We're going to bring you another story. This is good news. I know it's been a heavy show so far, but we've got some really good, fun news coming to you, and I pretty much guarantee you never saw this in the mass media. We're going to bring it to you when we come back with more Implicit Bias.
Experience Acadiana's most exclusive steakhouse, Mr. Lester's at Cypress Bayou. Make your reservation today. Space is limited. Take Highway 90 to the Baldwin exit.
Ever think about firearm safety? Are you new to shooting? Don't know how to get started? Here's Caleb with the Rustic Renegade.
I love new shooters because they don't have any bad habits yet. So you get somebody who hasn't been around firearms or hasn't done a lot of shooting. We can sit down in a very safe environment where there's no live ammunition, no risk of any residuals, and train them the right way before they actually get on a range and go in and do some live fire.
Why don't you come in and have a cup of coffee with us? The Rustic Renegade and therusticrenegade.com.
Renee Gerard, Acadiana certified master tobacconist, owns Piper's Haven at 3916 West Congress, right between Adrian's and Gilbo Road. How many cigars are in that humidor?
A lot.
100?
Oh, more than that.
Way more than that?
Way more than that.
It don't matter?
Thousands of cigars.
Thousands?
Thousands.
Thousands of cigars in the humidor at Piper's Haven. So you've got all these cigars. You've got pipes and pipe tobacco stuff.
I got pipes, pipe tobacco, cigars, cigar lighters, cigar cutters, pipe lighters, pipe stands, Lamborghini lamps, the scents. I got everything you need.
Really what you need is a great cigar, great conversation at Piper's Haven.
Yeah,
right?
And we need some cool weather because it's too hot to sit on a porch right now.
I agree, but that's okay because you got a smoking room.
Yes, we do. It's an air-conditioned smoking room with a big screen TV.
So if you need a haven from home, you've got Piper's Haven, 3916 West Congress Street, between Adrian's and Gilbo Road. Renee will help you pick out a great cigar.
Hour 2 of Implicit Bias is brought to you by William S. Nacall Jewelers. Grant, what's your address? 3802 Johnston Street, William S. Nacall Jewelers, bringing you Implicit Bias. Hour 2 of Implicit Bias is brought to you by William S. Nacall Jewelers, 3802 Johnston Street in Lafayette, Louisiana. Go find Grant Galatas. Tell him you want bigger, better diamonds for less, whatever you need, whatever you're looking for. They'll customize something just for you to make sure that your special someone gets that something oh so special. William S. Nacol Jewelers, 3802 Johnston Street, Lafayette. Religion, politics, you name it, all the stuff you're not supposed to talk about in polite conversation, we do it with microphones and liquor. That is Implicit Bias. I'm your host, Cavan Bordelon. We have a great crew here in the Top Secret Podcast Lair with us this week. As I said, we have the Rustic Renegade. He is Caleb Morse, sitting in the chair right across from me. In the corner, he is Better Off Dead. It's also his nickname. It's Walker Griffon. Behind the bar, we have Kathleen, the Real Deal Terrio, and Lewis, the Numismatist Pizzolatto. So let's, first of all, start with what you can get at Mr. Lester's. So like I said, we do this while drinking whiskey. And we, in the Top Secret Podcast Lair, have some of the things that you could get in the cigar lounge at Mr. Lester Steakhouse for a whopping $15. Caleb, you were able to partake of the Four Gate Bluegrass Trilogy. And it's just so, it's $200 a bottle if you could find it now. You can't find this particular one, but if you could, retail it was $15 a pour.
It's offensive. And look, I want to hate the Four Gate. I want to hate it. The sherry, the port, and all the other stuff that I shouldn't like. But son of a gun, do they do a great job. And then at $15 a pour, I can have multiple pours with my winnings and still be happy.
Lewis, you're sitting up there with a bottle of Johnny Drum that, I was going to say you're nursing, but I was going to go a bad route because I was going to do another P. Diddy reference, but the diddler doesn't need to come up again. Just, you're enjoying this bottle of Johnny Drum, sucking it down. So how are you liking that particular whiskey, which is also available at Mr. Lester's?
It's absolutely great. And it's greater after the Yellowstone, in all truth. But straight up, to me, an amateur, it's outstanding.
Now, Kathleen, I know that you can't partake right now. You're about, You're probably about 8 weeks away from being able to partake because you need a little while afterwards, correct? After the new one gets here, you want a couple of weeks, I guess.
I mean, who's counting? I've waited 9 months.
So, Mr. Lester, certainly a place you want to go. You've been fantastic place.
It's amazing. I love going there. Their food is excellent. Their drinks are good. I cannot wait.
And the atmosphere,
have another one.
the atmosphere is special. It is just special. So, yes, go visit Mr. Lester's. If you're listening in NOLA, if you're listening in Vidalia, if you're listening in Monroe, if you're listening in Ruston, where we also know that you're picking us up, make the reservation, drive down, make a weekend out of it, stay at the hotel. The rooms are fantastic. They're very affordable, an absolute event, something you will never forget with that someone special in your life.
I look so forward to the days when we have listeners from the other areas that we reach down here winning tickets and enjoying time with us.
Well, here's the fun part, because we are going to have another coming up in November. So we're 6 weeks away from the election, something like that, which means we're probably like 8 weeks away from another winner implicit dinner.
You mean that might be the sunrise to the sunset of our economy?
Why are you putting your hand out like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, right?
Oh, that's a phenomenal. That's a great movie.
You've got your hand out like Ted Theodore Logan.
Yeah.
We're not on video.
Wild Stallions.
So we're going to put it out there. It's going to be multiple winners, and we'd love to have people from New Orleans. We'd love to have people from Monroe, from Ruston, from Vidalia, from Central Louisiana. We'd love to have all these people come down because we are going to provide you with a hotel room and dinner for the night. That is going to be on Implicit Bias. Winner, implicit dinner. Stay tuned for details. You know how we're going to have to, maybe we're going to have to hold an election in order to figure out who our winners are. Of course,
will
it'll
it be rigged? Okay.
Yeah, it'll be just like 2020.
I'm just making sure, you know.
We're going to have a bunch of winners, and then at 2:00 in the morning, the people who are losing are all of a sudden going to start winning.
By a landslide.
Yeah, you like that, huh? That was good. That was decent. That wasn't bad. All right. What I love about elections is that every now and then you get a nugget of truth. And I think we got one in the past week. And it's that story that, man, you're not going to hear, I don't want to say anywhere else, but you're not going to hear it in the mainstream media. You're not going to hear it on CBS, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, Fox, Vox, HuffPo, right? Any of the ones that claim to be the big outlets. The Teamsters have always, and I mean always, endorsed a presidential candidate. And what I love about this is you have probably the best poll of likely Democrat voters ever. Because that's what the Teamsters are. If the Teamsters say we're going to vote this way, they vote that way. Go back and look at the JFK election, 1960. The 1960 election where John F. Kennedy wins. Go back and look at the role the Teamsters played in that one. I mean, entire graveyards voted in Illinois in order for him to win, which is what put him over the top. But a big nationwide poll of almost purely Democratic voters. Let me ask what your expectation would have been if you didn't know the story. What would you have expected the results of that poll to be? What percentage to the Democrat candidate? What percentage to the Republican candidate? Lewis?
With all Democrats, the vast majority of official Democrats, I would have said 85-15 is what I would have said straight up.
That might be generous. Maybe 90-10 is what you might think, Caleb?
He stole my numbers. You did. I was like, man, 80-20, no. Realistically, 85-15.
Yeah.
How about 84-16 for me? Then I'll give you your numbers.
Thank you. Nice split.
So nice.
He's always willing to negotiate. Always willing to negotiate, which we'll talk about in our final segment because, man, we're going to go into this story, and it's a fun story at the end of the show. But the Teamsters had their annual vote as to who they should throw their support behind. And so 85-15, not quite. It was 60-40. Woo. But it wasn't 60-40 to the Democrat. The Teamsters voted 60-40 to the Republican candidate.
Imagine how fed up they have to be with that party.
Kathleen, I heard you say that. You need to say that into the microphone.
What?
Yes.
You have to.
The Teamsters, 60-40 for Donald Trump over Kamala the Ugandan Giant. I'm sorry, Kamala Harris. But Kamala the Ugandan Giant's the professional wrestler I've always known.
They're giving in to I don't know. What's the opposite of the dark side of the force? Is it the light side of the force? I'm not a nerd enough for that.
Oh no, as I can feel the good within you. That's where we are, right? That is where we are.
There's still hope. Like, please, Walker, say it like the little green guy, Yoda.
Yoda? You know who that is?
Walker has no idea.
I know who that is, but I mean, just coming to me, I really don't.
On the
remember.
fly, you can't do that
No,
voice?
I never really watched Star Wars.
Well, at least I'm not alone.
I watched it maybe.
Here's
half
the
an episode,
That's about
movie.
as much as me.
Here's the best part of all of this. The Teamsters, in lieu of the vote, refused to endorse anyone.
Really?
60% of the voting members of the Teamsters want one candidate. And the leadership said, well, we're just not going to officially endorse anybody.
This year, for the first time in ever, we're silent.
Lewis?
Remember who runs these unions. Money people at the top of the heap with a big D behind their name and a big payoff.
Wait, we're back to a Diddy party?
Yes. So what happens is, I would be willing to bet in most cases, the rank and file union members are not going to be hardcore Democrats. But what happens is they don't get an option in most cases. It's the guys at the top of the heap, vote their members, and that's the way it is. But this was overwhelming in the other direction. So when that happens, sometimes you just can't kick it under the rug anymore, and you got to pass. And that's what they did.
You know who I want to thank for putting this story out there? I want to thank a former guest of this show who we'd love to have him back whenever he wants to come back. U.S. Congressman Clay Higgins put this out on his Twitter, and he actually had the story from the Teamsters. Like, this is a Teamsters press release. And most of the media just, no, this didn't happen. I didn't see anything. They turned into Frank Drebin. Nothing to see here. Move along.
So it didn't go their way, so that's why they're not endorsing anybody.
Ring the bell.
I got to ring it. He's been ringing it all night.
Well, this is why he's sitting next to you. This is why. This is why you have to stop and go back to what Lewis said. Who's in charge of the Teamsters? What is one of the biggest rackets? Racketeering, influence, corrupt organization. Second time we're going to reference it this show. What was the big RICO case involved with when they took down the mafia? What was one of the big entities that the mafia was utilizing and leveraging?
The Teamsters.
The Teamsters, the unions. Right? So when you think about
Do you know where Jimmy Hoffa is?
Man, last I heard he was somewhere down in St. Martinville. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. But my whole point is the leadership of the Teamsters has long been known for being corrupt, has long been known for working with criminal figures. And go figure, they won't endorse a certain party?
I'm surprised they still didn't endorse the other party, even though they didn't win.
That kind of would have been the cherry on top.
Right.
I mean, yeah, but that would have been, no, I don't know if blatant is the right word. That would have been too far out there. Like this, they can just say, oh, well, we think there was a mistake, and it's better for us to just be quiet.
Yeah, but what stopped them from being that blatant?
Absolutely nothing. It's a great call out.
Valid.
They have been this way, and we're going to go Sandlot here, forever. I mean, forever. Since the beginning of the beginning. So why would they change the script now? They have no recourse. What I love are seeing all these little signs that, guess what? People say things aren't happening to maybe right the course. This is one of those signs that things are happening. The fact that they didn't come out and say, we're still endorsing the Democrat, things are happening.
I'm looking forward to like the people crying in kitty litter boxes. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Kitty litter. Just so everybody heard, kitty litter boxes.
That's what I said.
Which means we're going to be back with the penultimate segment of this week's episode of Implicit Bias.
At Industrial Fabrication Services, we've been serving the oil, gas, agricultural, and refinery industries for 15 years. I'm owner Jonathan Broussard, and I've worked in fabrication and welding, covering a multitude of techniques, processes, and design for over 30 years. Our goal is to be personal and hands-on. Let Industrial Fabrication Services bring your project to life. Call us at 337-330-2326. or find us at ifsllc.net. Industrial Fabrication Services.
Drink Kacheri's Coffee, the official coffee of Implicit Bias. Available at La Creperie on Colley's Saloon, at the Rustic Renegade, Automotive Gear on Judson Walsh and Opelousas, and the Chill House, the dessert destination in Maurice. Kacheri's Coffee, the official coffee of Implicit Bias.
Can't find an Uber or Lyft? Luxury Limo of Lafayette offers scheduled pickups and drop-offs and even airport transportation in style. Get dropped off and picked up in their luxurious 12-passenger Mercedes-Benz Sprinter with limo-style interior or their Cadillac Escalade SUV. Reserve a sleek black town car for a night out with friends or dinner with your sweetheart. That's Luxury Limo of Lafayette, 565-4385 or luxurylimooflafayette.net. Spoil yourself to luxury with Luxury Limo of Lafayette.
Nobody likes to drive around in a grimy ride. Clean that car the Cajun way. Zydeco Ride and Shine Car Wash at 320 Willow and Cajun Car Wash at 510 Lafayette Street in Youngsville are there for you. Our facilities provide you with the best automatic car wash in the Acadiana area. Regulars get a bonus. Buy 3 washes at a location, get the 4th one free. Zydeco Ride and Shine and Cajun Car Wash. Keeping Acadiana's rides clean since 2014. Hour 2 of Implicit Bias is brought to you by William S. Nacall Jewelers, 3802 Johnson Street in Lafayette, Louisiana. Go find Grant Galatas. Tell him you want bigger, better diamonds for less, whatever you need, whatever you're looking for. They'll customize something just for you to make sure that your special someone gets that something oh so special. William S. Nacall Jewelers, 3802 Johnson Street, Lafayette.
All right. I got something to say.
Things are happening in the top secret podcast layer as we record this week's episode of Implicit Bias. I'm your host, Cavan Bordelon. We've got a great crew here for you. We're going to dive into one of the biggest things that I believe has happened in the last probably 2 to 3 weeks. And this one is going to have big implications in 4 to 5 weeks. I didn't send this article out. I didn't send it on purpose, because I want to get true, raw, naked reaction. No, we're not talking anymore about Diddy, Kathleen. Naked reaction to this story. Georgia was one of the biggest linchpins in the 2020 election, no matter how you look at it. If you believe the election was rigged because of an alleged broken water main where they were supposedly counting votes in Georgia, where they had to stop because of the water main that broke, which, by the way, didn't break, go look that up, and they supposedly stopped, which they told everybody they stopped, but then at like 2 o'clock in the morning, they started again. Georgia was a big deal. Heavily contested, trying to take President Trump to trial for interference in an election. I mean, all this stuff. Georgia was an absolute show. And you know what kind of show I'm talking about. So the question becomes, are we going to have the same scenario or the same situation where Georgia's just messing everything up again? The answer, I believe the answer is yes. But it's a qualified yes, and here's why. Because Georgia now has in place, it has been ratified and must take place according to court ruling. And this happened on the DL. And I don't mean like the Diddy DL. I mean like this happened and the media didn't tell anybody. There was no reporter standing outside the door of the courthouse with his phone up against the wall listening to what was happening. No, this actually happened, but just no one wanted to report it. Georgia, now by law, will have to hand count every vote cast to validate that the electronic vote is correct. So hear me out. When you cast an electronic vote, it prints out a ballot that shows your vote and then spits it out. Some of the allegations in Georgia were that you had ballots that didn't match, that the count of the actual ballots that were initially printed didn't match the ballots or the vote count out of the machines. So now they are trying to put into place a situation where you are going to get a digital vote count. We have, for round numbers, we have 1 million votes in Georgia. We have 500,000 for this candidate. We have 500,000 for that candidate. Well, it can't change if as soon as the vote was cast, it printed out a ballot that said we have 500,000 for one candidate and 500,000 for the other. Basically, they are just trying to find a way to balance the vote ledger sheet to make sure that everything is as it's supposed to be. I'm going to pause right here to get some takes on this from the crew here in the Top Secret Podcast, Lair.
Well, and to me, if it's spitting out real-time numbers, it would give you a chance to look down and say, well, no, I didn't vote this way, and then make a correction. Because there have been instances where individuals went into, what's the brand?
Dominion
voting machines, and they were like, look, I voted this way. And before they hit submit, they saw their votes, their ballot changed. There have been multiple instances of that.
We had it happen here in Louisiana where people walked in, pressed one candidate, and it lit up for another candidate. And when they'd press it, it would change. That we have reports of this. So here's my take. My take is we are going to know if the election is fraudulent immediately with this new system in place. But it's probably not how you think. We're not going to know that the system is broken because they're going to say, oh, the digital count is 600,000 votes for candidate A and 400,000 votes for candidate B, when you have 500,000 and 500,000 for each candidate. You're going to know the system is broken when it balances exactly. When it's perfect on we're supposed to have 575,000 votes for Trump and 425,000 votes for Harris, or flip it. But when it matches perfectly, that's when you know it's rigged. Because guess what? You're not going to have 4, 8, 10 million people vote and have everything go perfect. If it's perfect, they're lying. That's how you're going to know. But they're going to try and use this to come out and say, oh, see, we got it right. And they're going to use this to say, if we got it right in 2024, that means we got it right in 2020. Don't be fooled. This is a test. Take 100 people. Take 100 people, give them a questionnaire. And then give them the same questionnaire 2 seconds later and tell them to check the same answers. I guarantee you it's going to change. You are going to have changes on 100 people. It's never going to be perfect. So there for me is where it's going to get really scary. Because they're going to tell you, oh yeah, the system worked. And that's going to be how we know it didn't. Because go look at the Teamsters. The Teamsters are doing exactly the same thing. They know how their vote went, and they're going, yeah, but we're not gonna say that it went that way. Because it didn't go the way they wanted it. So how do you fix it? Well, an old, not even an acquaintance, somebody that I happened to work with, didn't have a ton of respect for. But it doesn't mean that he didn't say something right. Figures lie, and liars figure. They're going to start figuring real quick on this one. They're going to start figuring so fast in Georgia and other states where we are starting to see some election integrity, which, by the way, we are now seeing reports that the election integrity portion of the continuing resolution for government has been pulled and the continuing resolution was passed. In other words, Speaker Johnson didn't hold it over the heads of those who actually want election integrity to get their money. He just gave them the money and said, yeah, we'll take the election integrity part of it out. Now, that is what I hate to say no, it's what we've been told. There might still be things in that bill because, you got to pass the bill before you can read it and know what's in it. So the money becomes a really big deal. And the money is what's going to outline how this rectifies, how this lays out, and what this looks like. Any thoughts from the crew before we start diving into a couple other topics and wrapping up the show? Uh-oh. Lewis, what you got? Just ring the bell. He's been on it tonight.
Me and you have had discussions somewhat about this, not exactly. Listen, this system is out of control. I have no clue how to bring it back into control. This is not going to do it, but it's going to be an attempt to make us feel like the Teamsters. Boy, let's beat ourselves on the chest and say, now it's working. It's not. Simple as that.
I think the way to fix the system, Lewis, is slowly and surely. One bite at a time. There's that old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
That's how we talked about it when you came over to the office this week about absentee votes. They should be the first one right off the bat. Mail-in votes should be the first one out before one precinct. Because you know what? They got to be in a week before. They got to be counted. And then that number is at least fixed.
And you're starting to see that. Pennsylvania passed a law to that vein that says if there's a question about the signature, if there's a question about the date, there's a question about the address, it's not counted.
What I loved about that, too, is we have to define what date it has to be. Is it today's date? Is it the date of the election? What idiot out there doesn't sign something with today's date?
Well, here's the fun part. It's already written in the law about when it has to be signed and dated by. It has to be postmarked.
It wouldn't even matter if it's got to be in a week before and it's got to be counted. If it comes in, I'm sorry, forget the postmark. If it's not in our office, then guess what? Sad. You go to the poll and vote. Period.
You missed your opportunity. When I was overseas, we did our absentee ballots. We knew we had to go in, and the date that you wrote on it was the date that you signed, and the postmark affirmed that.
These little things that you're not hearing anywhere else, they're going to make a huge difference. Because if you go look at the polling, The polling, and I'm going to refer us back to what we talked about with Nate Silver in regards to how much a Democratic candidate has to win by in order to win the Electoral College. The polling is neck and neck. The polling is within margin of error. Donald Trump is polling higher than basically any Republican in the last 40 years. And we've had multiple Republicans win in the last 40 years, which means that Kamala Harris, the Ugandan giant's in trouble. Because she might still win the popular, but if she doesn't win the popular by more than 3 points, odds are our next president is the former president, Donald J. Trump. And that's a really big deal. Because we're going to see ourselves, and we've already heard certain lawmakers say, oh, we'll go nuclear, we'll go ahead and instill that he can't be installed as president, we're going to do things. That's a usurpation of your vote. That is someone elected by you declaring that they know better than you, they know more than you. They're taking away your voting rights to install the candidate they want. And some people have said this. Please go look this up. Walker, why are you yawning? Are we that boring?
No, I'm just tired.
You're just tired. Yeah, because you actually work for a living now, right?
Yes, I do now.
Work for a living. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to wrap up this segment. We're going to come back. We got a couple stories that are going to be some fun. We're going to have a couple more weekly whiskeys, and we're going to wrap up this week's episode of Implicit Bias right after this.
I'm Lee Ritter with Ritter Consulting Engineers. We've been around for over 40 years, and we've helped out local and state governments and regional contractors with their asbestos hazardous material issues. We can come in and do inspections and design to help you remove that hazardous material and keep your site safe and healthy for your workers, occupants, and the general public. We comply with all local, federal, and state regulations, keeping you in the clear. Give us a call, 984-8498, or look us up, RitterConsultingEngineers.com.
How sweet it is. Gambino's Bakery of Lafayette can satisfy all of your bakery needs. Cakes, cookies, pastries, melt in your mouth pedophores, wedding cakes, and of course, the original New Orleans Dauberge cake. Family owned and operated, let Gambino's Bakery take care of all your dessert needs for your family gathering, tailgate, holiday, or any special occasion. Visit with the baking professionals in Lafayette. Find what fits your taste. Enjoy the sweet life with Gambino's Bakery of Lafayette, 3802 Johnston Street. Call them at 337-406-9066 or online at gambinos.com.
Hey Acadiana, I'm Kathleen Terrio with Next Home Cutting Edge Realty. I know realtors seem to be on every corner, but the good ones aren't. I promise to give you top-notch customer service that includes honesty, availability, and professionalism. If you're looking for a realtor you can trust and is available during your most important purchase, call me, Kathleen, where the service goes beyond the closing day. For all your commercial needs, investment properties, or your next home, call Kathleen with Next Home Cutting Edge Realty, 337-412-1536. That's 337-412-1536. Or find me on the web searching Kathleen Terrio Real Estate.
Water damage needs to be fixed the right way the first time. For water damage in Acadiana, turn to the best, ZB Environmental. Utilizing large commercial desiccant dehumidifiers, Zach Blanchard is even there for homes or businesses that have lost utilities. ZB Environmental will also rent portable drying equipment as well. For your damage assessment, call ZB Environmental at 337-247-4200 or zbenvironmental.com. That's zbenvironmental.com.
Experience Acadiana's most exclusive steakhouse, Mr. Lester's at Cypress Bayou. Make your reservation today. Space is limited. Take Highway 90 to the Baldwin exit.
Hour 2 of Implicit Bias is brought to you by William S. Nacall Jewelers, 3802 Johnston Street in Lafayette, Louisiana. Go find Grant Galatas. Tell him you want bigger, better diamonds for less, whatever you need, whatever you're looking for. They'll customize something just for you to make sure that your special someone gets that something oh so special. William S. Nacall Jewelers, 3802 Johnston Street, Lafayette. Final stories, one last segment here on Implicit Bias as we sample some more weekly whiskey. I'm your host, Cavan Bordelon. And let me tell you, we got some great stories here in our last, 10, 12 minutes, Walker? How long we got?
12.
12. Outstanding. So let's get to it. First of all, a quick intro to those who who do not know who's in the top secret podcast lair with us this week. To my right, we have Caleb Morse, the Rustic Renegade. At the bar, we have Kathleen, the Real Deal Terrio. And we have Lewis, the Numismatist Pizzolatto. So let's start here, because there's some breaking news that's happening as we're reporting this and recording this show. So we'll give you some of that and maybe wonder what of that is tied together. But Lewis, one of the reasons I wanted you on this show is because, it was 7-8 months ago that I came to you and said, look, I got some cash and I want to put it in gold. And I had kind of a feeling that we were headed for some even tougher economic times maybe than we're going through now. I thought things might get really hairy. And let's face it, if the dollar dies, gold will maintain its value. So I said, let me go ahead and buy a little bit of gold. And I'm going to tell you what I bought it at, and then we're going to talk about where it is today. So when I bought it, gold was at $2,000 an ounce. Today, we're talking less than a year later, gold is over $2,600 an ounce. It is up 30%. There is not an investment you can put your money in and get a 30% return in 7, 8, 10 months. Nowhere. Lewis, is this normal?
It's not normal, but it's not totally abnormal. The fact of the matter is, we discussed last time I was here what a couple of dollars in quarters would actually buy.
Yeah, Corvette and everything else.
And what gold is somewhat what silver is. It's a mirror. It's looking into a mirror of the value of your life, your expenses, and everything else. Gold through time has kept the value. What has happened is when you're spending $1 trillion every 90 days, more than you have
in monopoly money,
you have a rapid acceleration in the opposite direction of gold and silver. But you also are seeing it in another situation. There's countries around the world that are saying, I'm seeing this, and I'm also going in another direction.
So you've got the BRICS countries.
You got the BRICS countries that are laying into metals. They're laying into really anything hard. The old saying.
Wait, we're talking Diddy again?
No.
I was trying not to. I'm so happy you did.
I hear that they're laying in multiple 55-gallon drums of super lube.
Now, so Lewis, when we talk about gold and do all that, when we talk about 30% over 8 months, would that still fall, if you sell it, would that still fall under like the short-term gains?
Absolutely.
But it depends. But it depends upon what you buy at the time that you buy the gold. Correct?
Exactly.
So I bought Double Eagle.
Right.
Which means that when I cash it in, I already paid the taxes on that.
That is correct.
So whatever I cash that in at today, I paid the taxes up front.
You paid the taxes on $2,000 gold.
Right.
So you paid the taxes on face value at that time?
On the value of what he bought at that time.
Okay.
We're just going to pick on him.
Yeah.
He paid $2,000, and I'm doing totally round numbers.
Yeah,
He's going to walk out with 26.5. He's not going to pay taxes on the 26.5. He's going to pay taxes on his rate on the $650. That's how that works.
Okay.
So I'm only paying essentially on the gain.
On the
not
gain.
The entire.
Not the entirety. So that way he
Exactly.
doesn't lose out on the overall.
Exactly. So he's walking away with
much better.
With still, he's going to walk out of the shop with a profit somewhere in the neighborhood of 20%
or more
after everybody's paid off.
Yep. After everybody's paid, and it's one of those things. And this is why I kind of brought this up. There's actually a bill in Congress right now to recenter American currency on a precious metal.
Well, if they would do that based on what they have, the price of gold would not be $2,650.
Oh no!
I would sleep comfortably saying it would be 10 times that and possibly more.
That would not surprise me one bit. Would not surprise me one bit, especially given what we saw in the past week. Because Kathleen, this affected you. The Fed all of a sudden decided to cut interest rates. Now that we're getting close to an election,
which doesn't make sense.
It does not make sense. It's the Wookiee defense, right? It does not make sense. So my question is, have you seen any downtick in mortgage rates for people who are looking to buy homes as we now see the downtick in the Fed and the prime rate?
So when they dropped the rate, it's with the credit cards, cars, and things like that. So our lenders do a pretty good job of kind of building in the drop before it even happens. So actually and I'm not a mortgage lender, so I'm going to stay in my lane. But typically what happens is right after they meet, it goes up a little bit. But as of this week, it's been the lowest it's been in over a year.
And my guess is you've probably had some phone calls pretty quickly. You've probably felt the uptick almost immediately.
Yes. I mean, a lender that I use frequently, she closed a conventional loan this week in the 5s, which we haven't seen in
So when you say in the
2 years.
5s, you mean in the 5 figures?
Yeah, in like 5 point whatever.
Oh, okay.
Instead of 6 or 7s
Yeah,
or
okay.
8s
So, yeah,
where we've
5%
been.
as opposed
Correct.
to, yeah, which is compared to what we have seen in the last 3.5 years.
I think I read this is the lowest it's been since September of 2022.
Yeah.
Because I believe what I
Which wouldn't
read.
surprise me because it was a steady increase from basically January 6th of 2020. It was just, I mean, it looked like it was, what was the Casey Kasem cranking up the hits? They just kept going up and up and up the
Yeah.
charts. It was bad.
Right. And again, I'm not a lender, so I stay in my lane. This is just what I get from the lenders that I deal with each and every day. Where we're sitting is really good. So I'm interested to see what the election does.
I'm really interested to see if we can even sniff getting back towards a precious metal backed currency. Because if we do, that's the key to potentially righting all the economic woes that we've seen in this country.
That's control is what it would be. It would be control over everything. There would be some bad because they would have to dig up some gold real fast to even it out or raise the price. But I told Cavan I wanted to steal 30 seconds, and I'm going to steal it. The 30 seconds I want to do is I want to cite my 2 granddaughters. I get that thing because I think I'm the only one in here that is a grandfather.
I think you are the only one over the age of 130.
I am. My granddaughter at Fatima School, her volleyball team, they have not lost a game as of tonight.
Phenomenal.
And my other granddaughter, also playing volleyball.
Volleyball? Good.
Scored the winning goal. Eleanor Norton and Vivian Norton.
Congratulations to your granddaughters.
And I'm sorry I stole it, but I don't really give a damn.
Louis Pizzolatto of Coin and Treasure here in Lafayette. Look, if you're actually looking to buy gold, go talk to him. He will help walk you through all of that. He will help show you the way to do that. And you can tell he's a family guy. There's a reason why he's on the show. His values align with ours. I use him. I know Caleb has bought precious metal from him. It's one of those things that if you just want to preserve the value of your money, it's a great way to dive into it. So I told you there was some breaking news. This story is not breaking. This story is actually a couple days old. This comes out of New York. It is not New York City. It is Orange County. The Orange County DA, retired Judge Stuart Rosenwasser, killed himself, committed suicide, which we don't wish on anybody. That is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. But his problem was significant. It was going to be a long time, maybe the rest of his life, which was there was an unsealed indictment against him that was opened up. And when they opened it, there were, let's just say he had some diddy problems with some underage people. That's the story. They showed up to arrest him. He took his own life. Took his own life. Now, why do I bring this up today? I take that back. I'm sorry. That's not the right story. This guy accepted $63,000 in bribe payments. This is the bribe payment case. In exchange for his payments, he used the authority of the DA's office. Assistant was influenced by a company. So I'm sorry. This is the bribe payment story. There was another issue with a judge who had some problems. He answered a permanent solution from a sheriff in his town from Kentucky, where there was that issue. So I was conflating those two stories. But here's why New York is important. Because as we recorded this show, New York Mayor Eric Adams was indicted on a federal count. Now, what that federal count is, we don't know because it is a sealed indictment. But this is a problem. You now have the Democratic mayor of one of the largest by population states in the country who is indicted by the federal government right before an election. That does not bode well in the state of New York for voters, for situations, for any scenarios. As we get more information on that, we're going to bring it to you. We'll do also the same on this retired judge who was while he was DA, accepted $63,000 in bribe payments. And by the way, just a little hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If you go to our socials this week, you might just find a special hidden segment of Implicit Bias titled Explicit Implicit. You might want to check it out. Tons of fun. We thank you for being here with us. I thank the crew here in the Top Secret Podcast Layer. Everybody who makes this happen. Walker, pretty much except for you, because you get paid. Anyway, thank you for being out there. We appreciate. Hope you had fun. We hope you have a great week. We will see you in 7. Investments need protection. One of the best protections you can provide your vehicle is a ceramic coat on the paint. But who can afford that? You can. Jude Pelche at Pelche's Auto Detailing and Ceramic Coating can provide you with big city quality at a small town price. Jude is meticulous about making sure your car maintains its brand new appearance using the highest quality ceramic coating with handcrafted application. Pelche's Auto Detail and Ceramic Coating can deliver a one-of-a-kind, long-lasting look. Call Pelche's Auto Detailing and Ceramic Coating at 337-962-2849. That's Pelche's Auto Detailing, 337-962-2849. Drink Kacheri's Coffee, the official coffee of Implicit Bias. Available at La Creperie on Colley's Saloon, at the Rustic Renegade, Automotive Gear on Judson Walsh and Opelousas, and the Chill House, the dessert destination in Maurice. Kacheri's Coffee, the official coffee of Implicit Bias.
This is Moon Griffon for Coin and Treasure. 2472 West Congress. You know, my buddy Louis Pizzolot at Coin and Treasure is a truly great American businessman. If you're a coin collector, silver or gold bullion collector, Louis at Coin and Treasure will have something for you. Louis has over 40 years of experience in the coin business. Visit them at 2472 West Congress. Call them at 232-2573 or visit online at coinandtreasure.com. This is Moon Griffon. You can trust Coin and Treasure.
Dupree Carrier Godshaw provides insurance locally as well as nationwide. A full-service agency, Dupree Carrier Godshaw can take care of all of your needs, from personal auto, home, or business, group health, life, or investment products. Dupree Carrier Godshaw is a growing business and is currently hiring. Email resumes to charles.l@dcgagency.com. For all of your insurance needs, call Dupree Carrier Godshaw at 337-948-8186 or visit dcgagency.com.
Shop at New News, a proud sponsor of Implicit Bias on KPEL. New News is dedicated to providing excellent food, excellent drinks, and excellent service. Known for their specialty meats and superb liquor and beer selection, it's all here. Family run and family oriented, we know our customers by name and strive to deliver a great shopping experience to every customer every time. New News, now open in Youngsville, Milton, Maurice, and Scott.
Hey folks, it's your buddy John Rich from Big and Rich. You know, the weather's getting warmer, the days are getting longer, and there's never been a better time to celebrate your freedom. If you're looking for that perfect cocktail to celebrate with, make it Redneck Riviera American Blended Whiskey. From the glass to the cork to the juice inside, it's 100% made in America, incredibly smooth, affordable, and proudly supporting the Folds of Honor. Visit redneckriviera.com to find a store near you. Drink American.
Let your pictures say more than 1,000 words with us at Nouveau Photo. I'm Danny Izzo. Me and my wife, Mona, will help you preserve all your memories and pictures. At Nouveau Photo, we'll create beautiful portraits of your family, high school, college graduates, and even your pets. We can also offer group pictures for schools, churches, sports, communions, and confirmations. Let our family create memories for yours. Nouveau Photo. Find us online at nouveauphoto.com. That's NOUVEAU. PHOTO.com. TEAU.com, or call us at 337-233-1094. Nuvo Photo, for photos that last a lifetime.
Have an honest injury? Call an honest attorney. I'm Chris Castro of Castro Law Firm, and I handle a broad array of injury cases involving car, truck, motorcycle, and premises liability. I pride myself on personal service with a pragmatic approach. A legitimate attorney for a legitimate need. Castro Law Firm in Lafayette, Louisiana has been helping the hurting throughout the state of Louisiana since 1992. Call me at 337-984-7677 or visit my website, castro-firm.com. LSBA filing number 241.
This program has been paid for by Pipe Dream Entertainment.
NewsTalk 96.5, KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette, broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax Pro Studios. Find them online at MatthewJamesTaxPros.com.
First responders have been working around the clock. I saw several boats yesterday heading out just looking for somebody in a large Swannanoa River that really swallowed up a couple streets right in front of a playground. I was able to even see a lot of down trees, a lot of down power lines. But again, as of right now, there's no timeline for when the city water will be back on, when power will be back, or even when the cell service will be back for people to reach out to who they need to.
Initial estimates say the damage from the storm could top $15 billion. President Biden okaying federal disaster assistance by issuing an emergency declaration in Tennessee. America's listening to Fox News.
The world of business moves fast. Stay on top of it with the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday. Fox Business reporters, anchors, and hosts will bring you beneath the stock market speculation and boardroom drama to tell you about the biggest business stories of today. Whether you're on Main Street or Wall Street, Fox Business is invested in you.
Listen to the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday at foxbusinesspodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. Interesting people are talking to Will Kane.
I said, what do I call you? I call you Dwayne. I call you The Rock. He said, now that I own it, I can call you The Rock.
Yes, I own it now. You can call me The Rock.
Our next guest needs no introduction. It is Dr. Jordan Peters, my old friend and frenemy, Stephen A. Smith.
What is going on here? I see the Will Kane show in the background. I see the microphone.
Watch it live at noon Eastern, Monday through Thursday on foxnews.com. And get the podcast 5 days a week at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcast.
NewsTalk 96.5, KPEL.
The following program is paid for by Magellan Financial.
The views expressed in the following show are those of the hosts or hosts only. They do not represent NewsTalk 96.5 KPEL or Town Square Media.